excited to have our first player interview here on the podcast for the season. And I'm, as both a Big 12 fan and as an Oklahoma State fan, I'm especially thrilled that we have Oklahoma State pitcher Lexi Kilfoyl joining us today. Lexi, welcome to the 10-12.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, this is fun, and I love getting to talk to the coaches, and we try and talk to every Big 12 coach every season. But getting the players on, it just feels like a special treat because I mean you're the ones out there playing. It's we get fans get this connection with players and seeing the excitement that you have and seeing the success that you have and celebrating that. It's so much fun for us. For you, I mean, this is your last season playing college softball. What does that feel like for you right now?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of crazy how fast time has moved. I mean, I still feel like my freshman year was like 2 days ago, but it's kind of terrifying that I'm the older one now, but I'm super excited to see what the rest of the season has for us. And yeah, it's crazy that I'm getting old.
Look, I'm gonna be 40 this year, so I don't want to hear about getting old. I have to ask, has the fact that this is your final season started to settle in yet, or are there still enough games where you don't have to worry about that yet?
Honestly, a little bit of both. I think it's crazy that I think we said we're like 15 games in, so that doesn't even feel real, but I still don't think it's hit me just yet. And the day that it does, I think I'm going to be an emotional wreck because I mean, softball has just been a part of my whole life. So senior day is definitely going to be an emotional one for definitely me and my family. But yeah.
Speaking of family, perfect transition. Your team just got back from a 2 week trip in Florida between Clearwater Invitational 2 weekends ago, and then a throw up last minute added game in Florida in Gainesville. You stopped at Deland to take on Stetson, and then a trip to Tampa. How much did you get to spend time wise with your family? Because you were from Florida, you're from Land O'Lakes, which is just outside of Tampa. How much time did you get to spend with family, and what was that like for you?
Honestly, it was a pretty decent amount because we were down there for 10 days and we ended up getting rained out a few days and Coach G allowed us to go spend time with our families. So I actually got to go home for about 5 hours one day, which was really awesome just to be home and like just relax. And I got to see almost every single one of my siblings because we actually played at the University of Florida and my older brother lives about 20 minutes from there. So I got to meet his new baby, got to see him and his wife, and then my grandma also came down and saw my brother. My brother actually plays football at USF, so we were at the USF tournament last weekend, so I got to see him and all of his friends. So it was really awesome to just go home. And honestly, it's crazy like to think that's where like everything started, especially the Clearwater Fields. Like that's where I'm starting my very last season. So it's really something sweet.
Did they all get to come and watch you play at least once?
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Wait, which game?
Um, so my parents, my dad and my mom, they never miss a game. They will be at almost every away series unless it's like a midweek. And so I got to see, they came to almost all my games. There was always someone there. So it was really special. And they make a lot of sacrifices because they love us children and they want to see us pursue our dreams. And they love us to death and they'll do anything to come watch us perform.
How many siblings do you have?
So I have a younger brother, Andrew. I have an older brother, Darren, and then I have an older half brother, Casey, and older half sister, Kayla. So four.
Okay, so it's okay. It's a full house during the
Yes.
holidays.
Oh yeah, it is always. It's a good time.
Well, I mean, it was a great time. Obviously, your parents see you all the time, so they've seen plenty of great performances from you. But obviously, great time to get to see you this past week. I mean, an absolutely fantastic week for you. 3-0, starting with the game in Florida on Monday through the weekend. Three complete games, allowed you 6 hits, 18 strikeouts, 2 walks, plus great at plate, 3 or 4 for the plate with a home run, 2 doubles, and 3 RBIs. I mean, look, you put up plenty of great performances throughout your career, but this just felt like this really great weekend. How much of just playing at home, I mean, or close to home, kind of helped you find a groove and find the rhythm this weekend?
Honestly, I try not to think about that too much, but just being in front of my family, I know people are like they have a tendency to outperform and not be themselves, but I feel like that's the thing that Coach G is really good about. He's like, it's still a game of softball, no matter where we're playing. it's still the same distance, same foul line, same everything. So just try not to make it more than what it is and just go out there and play the usual game that we've been playing since we're 6 years old. That's what Coach G always tells us day in and out.
All right, what's your favorite? I mean, obviously, Coach G gives you guys plenty of coaching advice and plenty of life advice and everything else. What's your favorite piece of advice from Coach Gajewski?
Honestly, I would say the like play this game like you're 6 years old because that was honestly me and my brothers. We all played we my brothers played baseball and I played softball growing up and we always played wiffle ball in the front yard. Always. We got in trouble a few times because parents weren't home and we probably did some things we weren't supposed to, but that was what we looked forward to at the end of the day was at the end of the school day. We would go outside, we'd play wiffle ball and just have a blast doing it. And Coach G tells us the same thing. He's like, I want you to play ball like you're 6 years old in your backyard. And honestly, like I'd never heard it from that kind of perspective until I got here. And that's when I felt like I noticed like I felt like I had a weight lifted off my shoulders because I was like, I'm just having fun. Like hit the ball as hard as you can, throw dirty pitches. And I feel like that's really helped me these last 2 years is it's just been so freeing to feel like I can play like that, like I did growing up.
I love the phrase "throw dirty pitches." That's fun.
Yep.
All right, let's get that on a t-shirt and get some NIL funds going in for Lexi here. Okay, this has been I think, a really good start to the season for Oklahoma State so far. As you mentioned, 15 games in, you guys are 13-2. That is incredible, especially considering, at least externally, coming into the season, there were a lot of questions about where this program was going to be this year, especially with the losses of so many impactful players from last season and years past, including Cheyenne Factor, Kylie Naomi, Rachel Becker, and of course, Kelly Maxwell, among others. But internally, how did you and your teammates feel about this season coming into the year?
Yeah, I think we all knew that we were a very young team. Obviously, we lost, I think it was like seven of our starters. And so that was something that we had to accept and kind of move on with. And so I think that was kind of the responsibility that some of us older girls kind of took on was trying to lead younger girls so they can fill the role of those older players that we had lost. And so I think they're doing an amazing job of it. And like I said, Coach G says it's the same game you've always been playing. Like, and he reminds us day in and out. He's like, you're good enough to play here, and that's why I recruited you to be here. So that's why you're starting on the field. So I think it's been an amazing start for this to the season so far. I think we've been challenged a bunch with those big games, and at the end of the day, I think that's what we need. Is you don't want to like a gradual progress in the season. We kind of just jump straight into the fire, and I think those games are games that we're going to learn a lot from, and we just have to learn from our mistakes, continue to do what we've been doing good, and just move forward with it.
As you mentioned, you and the seniors have kind of had to step up and take on that leadership role. For you, what's been your mindset about taking that on this year, of being kind of the pitcher everyone knows, the expectations that are externally kind of put on you, obviously internally that doesn't necessarily mean it's that way. But how have you handled that leadership role? What do you think like you've brought to that position within the program this year?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very introverted person. People say I'm not, but it takes me a while to kind of open up and I just don't speak out a lot, but I feel like I'm definitely like a more one-on-one person and I know that that's my strength. So I'm constantly like checking on the girls or try to like do the best that I can to like build those one-on-one relationships and because I want to be that kind of person that they can come to and talk literally anything, whether it's about softball, pitching, hitting, or even just life in general. Like I want to be the person that they feel comfortable that they can come to me and like not feel judged, not feel absolutely anything. So I would say my leadership role is definitely a little bit more behind the scenes. And we also have some other girls who are good at like the motivational talks, that kind of stuff. So I think all of us leaders, I think we mesh very well because we're all different in so many different ways. But I'm definitely more of a one-on-one behind the scenes, like kind of talk to the girls and check up on them kind of leader, I feel like.
Okay, so who's the motivational speaker on the roster?
Definitely Scotland David. She's every time we're in a huddle, she always has some wisdom to share, and it's different every time. And it's honestly, I've never seen her like that before because usually it's the older girls like rule or they're the ones that are usually talking in the circle. And so obviously last year we had Kylie Naomi but Scotland David's done a really amazing job stepping up this year, and she always has she always has so much wisdom to spread, and the girls trust her with her full heart. So I think it's amazing that she stepped into that role.
Obviously, we talked about the players who've left. Coaching changes as well. John Bargfeld, your pitching coach, retired at the end of the last season. In comes former Cowgirl Carrie Eberle to take over, just her second year in coaching. What has that transition been like here inside the staff?
Yeah, honestly, it's been very smooth, to be completely honest, because Carrie actually pitched under Coach John, and Carrie loved Coach John, and we all loved Coach John. We still do, and that was one of the things that she kind of carried with her as a pitching coach is very similar like mannerisms, very similar drills, very similar like mindset. So it's honestly been a really smooth transition, and we're adding some new stuff to the pitching. Like we're doing more like data analytical stuff just to see how we can complement each other best as a staff, that kind of stuff. And so it's been really great. She's close in our age, obviously, so it's more of like a mentorship to me, and I think it's honestly like a perfect match for all of us. She pushes everyone day in and out. She wants to see like everyone strive to be their absolute best, and I think it's been amazing for every single pitcher on our staff.
What do you think is kind of different about her? Where have you found that she's been able to kind of help you improve differently than Coach Bargfeld did?
Yeah, I feel like honestly they're like once again they're very similar, but she she really recognizes me, and she knows she trusts me, and Coach John Barchfeld did as well, and she knows that like I feel good with my stuff, and there's not much like I feel like I need to change except for a few tweaks here and there. But she's done a really good job of accepting me as the pitcher I am and not doing too much. And then obviously with the other pitchers that are developing more of their mechanics and new pitches, she's been amazing with that too. So it's awesome to have a coach that can fluctuate between girls that feel good about their pitching stuff and don't want much to change, and then also girls that are still developing. So she's really good at managing literally every situation that she's been put in.
That's fantastic. Managing people is as much as important a part of the role as just like teaching the ins and outs of the game. So to hear that she's already got that, especially in just a second season as a coach, like that's really impressive. And I kind of think that speaks some to why Coach G felt comfortable bringing her on as the new pitching coach.
Yes, yeah, it was a great addition, and I think her being a former cowgirl, she's been in our shoes. She's lived most of the same experiences as us because she's been there, and I think it's really awesome because we can go to her not even just for pitching, like real life advice. Like we still talk to her about like our daily lives and just getting like building that connection that goes beyond just the softball field.
Obviously, she is a former cowgirl. So too is Vanessa Shippey Fletcher, the new hitting coach who was promoted. You've got a lot of former cowgirls on this staff, like across the board. How how does that do you feel like that helps the program? Like that's a lot of connection to Oklahoma State and a lot of people who've come through Stillwater who understand what it is. But like how do you feel that benefits the program?
Yeah, I think that's something you see a lot of nowadays is coaches start to bring back their former players, their former greats, their all-Americans, and I think it really helps us like establish like the standards and how OSU softball has become. And so they, like I said, they know like the day in and out schedule. They know what we go through. They know what it's like to be 4 hours of practice in, just like feeling exhausted. And it's awesome to have like that kind of understanding. And I think they have so much knowledge, all of the literally everyone on step, whether it's Shippy, whether it's Maddie Sue, Carrie, it's it's really something special because they were also in our shoes. And so we get to follow in their footsteps, and they get to lead the way. And not that it doesn't feel like coaching, but like I said, it feels more like mentorship with a side of coaching.
All right. I know we don't like to look at games ahead on the schedule. It's game by game. That's fine. But obviously, this is the last season that Oklahoma will be in the Big 12. It's the last time that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will play as Big 12 members. And we don't know what the schedule will look like with Oklahoma moving forward. Obviously, this is your final season. It's your last shot against Oklahoma as well. Like, have you guys talked about OU at all? Has there been conversation of like this is the last time we understand this? I'm not going to say you've circled the game on the schedule, but is there at least some internal like understanding of like it might be just a little bit bigger than usual, just because it might be the last time we play them for a couple seasons?
Yeah, honestly, we haven't like it hasn't even been brought up in the locker room, like in meetings at all. Coach G is always like, the next most important game is the next one we have. And so, I mean, definitely it's something that we think of in the back of our minds, like the Texas rivalry or the Oklahoma rivalry. But I think that rivalry, I'm excited to play them because it's one of those like series that's going to grow the game of softball. Because obviously, the World Series being in Oklahoma, we have so many softball fans here, and for Oklahoma to have a brand new stadium, an even bigger stadium this year, and then we get to play them towards the end of postseason. I think it's going to be really fun to just grow the game and see how many people we can get out there for the last Oklahoma State series.
Okay, I got a few more questions for you here, and these are going to be a little more fun. First off, so at Oklahoma State, you guys have two walk-up songs, as you have told me before this interview. I have to know, what are your walk-up songs this season?
So my first one is "Fuss and Fight" by Co Wetzel. Me and my little brother Andrew, we love Co Wetzel to death, and it just has a good little build up in the beginning. So I've always liked that song. It was my walk up song last year, kept it this year. And then my second one, I switched it up. I did "Wild Side" by Motley Crue, and I honestly like I said, Andrew and my dad. Every once in a while, we like to listen to a little bit of rock and roll, and I know my dad loves any kind of rock and roll, so I was kind of thinking of him in the moment. I was like, you know what, I like this. I know my dad will enjoy it. I think it'll get the fans fired up.
Okay, so obviously that game against Florida, and those are two great song options. Obviously the game against Florida came together, as we all know, within a very short time period. I mean, Sunday, Coach G is texting Coach Walton, and then within 24 hours, you've got a game ready to go. You've got umps, and you've got a game that's going to be broadcast. When he gave you guys the news, like, "Hey, we're going to turn around and go down here to Gainesville and play a game," like, what was your thought process in that morning? And oh, by the way, Lexi, you're going to be in the circle for this one.
Yeah, honestly. So it was Sunday night. We were at Eberle's house. We were doing like a little family dinner. A bunch of us had just went to the beach. We came back. We were swimming in the pool. And then he called like a meeting in front of everyone, just like all the parents. Everyone was like, we're gonna have like a game against Florida. And I was in the bathroom changing. So I came out and I heard him say something about Gainesville, and I was like, what are we doing tomorrow? Like I didn't hear the whole conversation. And so they're like, we're playing the University of Florida tomorrow. Like we thought we were gonna practice or have the day off, but he's like, this is just a great addition to our schedule. Like Tim Walton's always been a great friend of mine, and I think this is going to be great for both of our programs. And it was honestly exciting because the last time I played Florida was when I was at University of Alabama, and just growing like I know a few of the girls on the team. Kendra Falvey, she's one of my best friends since the day I was born, and it was just awesome to go back there and obviously see my brother, his new baby, and because they live 20 minutes from there. So it was really exciting to like kind of pop up and just play a game like that. It's awesome how softball can work like that, and then even get it televised, even have so many fans there just for only a 24 hours notice. It's really special.
All right, so former Iowa State outfielder Leah Nelson is our one of our co-hosts here on the show, and as she has told me, she loved playing at Oklahoma State because the fans are some of the most just rowdy and talkative, and especially out there in the decks, like they know everything about you. They've done extensive FBI level research into you, and they're gonna throw all that stuff out to you. Okay, so A, do you feel like you got some of the best fans as far as knowing how to get at the other opposing players? And B, what's the school you guys have played at where the fans have been the most engaging with you guys as players?
Yeah, I mean, our fans are absolutely amazing. Sorry. And I think even on like the 30-degree days, they're always out there. They always, what are they, like the party decks, they have the parent deck, and just everyone always comes out, and it's awesome to have people so involved in our sport. And then also just having fans that stick by our side, even in our roughest of moments. Like last year, we were on like a 10, I think it was a 10-game losing streak, and just I know what it's like to have fans in the past just bash you and bash like all the coaches' decisions and everything. And I truly believe that our fans, they stick by our side day in and out, whether it's like that or not. And then I would say the most fun, oh gosh, that's hard. I do remember one game vividly last year. We played Tulsa, and it didn't feel like a fun environment. It was more of like a heckling environment, which honestly I don't do very well with. So I was a little bit intimidated, but it is fun when you can have like those fun like relationships with the other team's fans and the current players. So I think our fans, they're really respectful about it. Like they joke about it. They even like like the girls will turn around and like go talk to them even though they've never met the other team before. So it's really cool to have fans like ours because they love Oklahoma State just as much as we do, and they're always there for us. They always got our backs.
Which player on the roster is the best at dealing with the hecklers?
Gosh,
Can dish it back.
yeah. I feel like talent is really, which is surprising. There was one game in Clearwater. Talent just she keeps it very like to herself, and she'll like come to us and talk about it and be like, "Oh, these guys like they won't stop crap talking us," and so she does a good job of like hiding it. But she'll like come over to us and like let out her frustrations. But she's done a good job of like hiding it. But I think probably Jill would probably be the best at talking back. So she's our center fielder this year, and I feel like the parents deck is actually right outside of center field, so we'll probably give her some hell every now and then, but I feel like she'll dish it right back to them.
Okay. The guys are finally going to be back home for some games. Should we expect to see Bullet back? I mean, Bullet was such a mainstay during games last year, and I think we all miss Bullet. Are we going to see Bullet down there in the bullpen with you guys?
Yeah, so Bullet's he's still in our locker room to this day, and so Bailey Runner, she transferred to Central Arkansas. She was kind of the keeper of Bullet. She always got everyone rowdy in the dugout, and so we actually haven't really talked about it, but I feel like Bullet, everyone loves Bullet, but I feel like Bullet is such like a postseason, like it gets everyone going. So we haven't really talked about it as a team yet, but I think Bullets might stay away until postseason and then everyone will get excited when they get to see Bullet again.
Very good. Lexi, thank you so much. This has been absolutely fantastic. Good luck to you and your team through the rest of the season. I know I'll be cheering you on, both as a Big 12 fan and as an Oklahoma State fan. But you've been great and enjoy your last season in Stillwater.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.